Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This video today is about the 6 most useful tips for bead crochet beginners. Okay, so this is what is called as bead crochet. So this is tubular bead crochet because it is in the form of a tube and we crochet it in spirals to get this. So I call it as a bead crochet rope, and this is a bead crochet necklace which has got a clasp with it. Okay, so we can either make bead crochet ropes like this, and see, this is another bracelet where also it is a slip-on bracelet where you just slip it on like this. Okay, where I have added a different kind of a clasp for this, and this is also bead crochet bracelet, or a bangle you can call it, and this is with an invisible join. See here, you see, though it was started as a rope, but when I complete and join it, so it becomes an invisible join bracelet. And this necklace, or a crochet rope necklace, is also an infinity necklace. See, there is no clasp at all anywhere, so this is just a long crochet rope which I have joined together to make it into an infinity crochet rope. So to get here is a little bit of an uphill task, I agree. And my video today is based on all the questions that I get from bead crochet beginners and the doubts that they have. So today I'm going to give you my most useful tips for any bead crochet beginners. So if you are interested to begin bead crochet, either if you already know how to crochet, it is going to be useful. Otherwise also you can start, if you buy some beads and crochet hook. The crochet hook will be steel crochet hooks like this. We'll be talking about all this later. And some beads and crochet hook and thread is all that you need to begin your bead crochet journey. So let me just move all this away for now and bring in all the samples that I have for you to show how bead crochet is worked. So tip number 1. In tip number 1, I'm going to talk about the size of the beads. Okay, so you see, when I say size of the beads, so I am referring to, see, these are bigger size beads and these are smaller compared to this. Okay, so this is a size 8 bead, and this has not any does not have any particular size, nor does it have any particular shape. It is just some random locally sourced organic beads which I have used for making my very first video tutorial, which will be in my playlist. Okay, so when I talk about the size of the beads, I mean you better choose, no, preferably, so I don't want to say better choose, preferably it is easier to learn when you have beads which are little bit bigger than choosing beads which are smaller in size, because as it is, it's very clumsy to do the beginning of a bead crochet rope, and having very small beads and very thin thread is going to make your journey all the more difficult. Okay, so begin by choosing beads which are bigger in size. Please do not be bothered about the size of the beads, okay, or anything else, because everyone does not have access to branded size beads. So there are some places where we do not get the very good quality beads. Now this is the only kind of beads that you might get, but this should not stop you from learning bead crochet, because see, even with the bead which is so inconsistent and very organic, you can still bead crochet and learn, and you can proceed to then later buy some standard beads which are little bit uniform in size. So that's about the size. That is, my first tip is to choose bigger size beads. Tip number 2. Now in tip number 2, again I'll have to bring back the same sample. So in this sample, like here I would recommend that whenever you start, and so when you follow a tutorial or a pattern, a tutorial especially, you will first use multiple color beads. Say now for instance, now when we talk about a bead crochet, we talk about the circumference. The circumference means the number of beads that is in each row. Okay, so this is a 6 bead circumference rope. See, now I'll show you what I mean by 6 bead. So if I start from here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is a 6 bead crochet row. Okay, and each row will have 6 beads. So when you string on the beads, instead of having the same color beads, it is always better to have different color beads for each one of them. See, this is the order in which I have strung my beads. So this order, see, 6 like this, and again there will be another set of 6 like this. So that's how it continues. And when you string on beads in this order in different colors, and when you start crocheting, it will be easy for you to know where your stitches will go. So for that, I will just show you a sample. So let me take out this and show you how it's done. Okay, I'm putting my crochet hook back into the place where I left off. Okay, so see here, I'm just going to bring in a few beads for me to crochet. Now when you're here, see, the next bead that you have to crochet into is this pink color bead here. See, this pink color, and what is on your thread is also pink. So that makes it easier for you to know where you have to do your next stitch. So then you'll put your needle in there and bring it down and make a slip stitch. Okay, so next, again here, see, there is a red color bead here and there is a red bead in your working thread area. So you know that your next stitch is going to go here, and then you can easily follow like that. Because sometimes, you know, we can miss out this, and then we can proceed and we might do our stitch here into this one. When you're doing into this one, see, the bead here is green, okay, and the bead that is here is blue. So you'll know that something is wrong and you are not in the right place. So that's why I recommend that you use different color beads for each of the bead in your bead crochet row. That is, when you're starting, you will be either starting with a 5 bead or a 6 bead. So let each 6 bead be, each one let it be of a different color. So at the same time, I'll show you what happens when every bead is of the same color. So let me keep this away and bring this other sample here. So in this sample here, you see, I have beads of the same color strung on like this, and I'm going to show you what will be the problem if you use the same color bead. So I'm taking my needle here, okay, and when I start, I'm going to do the slip stitch for the next one and for the next one. And what can happen is, sometimes I might just leave off this. See, after this, my next work should be inside here. Instead of that, because the bead might be hidden or something, what can happen is I can totally miss that and I can proceed to the next one. When I proceed to the next one, I will not know any difference because all of them are the same red color. Okay, so I will continue like this. But what will happen is, one bead will be missing in my circumference, and if it is a design, your design will completely be out of sync. So you will not get the same design as you are intending. See here, when you leave out a bead, see, it will stick out like this. Okay, all of them are lying flat, and the bead that you did not work is sticking out like this. And also your circumference will become lesser. If it was 6, it will become 5, and if it was 8, it will become 7. So there are chances of you missing out on a stitch if we do the same color bead when we are learning. Okay, but when you are advanced, you will know, like, because as you look into your work, you will know you have the correct number of beads and you are in the correct place. So that's why I insist that you should have different color beads when you are learning. Okay, so let me keep this aside. Now, tip number 3. Tip number 3 is about the kind of threads that we should use. Okay, so always for bead crochet rope, we use cotton. You should use cotton, and cotton, it can be any size cotton, but the most important thing is that this thread should fit into the holes of the bead. Now, see, for instance, in this example, so let me just put my place here, otherwise I lose it. Okay, so see this bead, if you see the holes of this bead, they are quite big. See if you, oh, let me try to show you. See, they are so big, and that's why I have chosen a little thicker thread. See, this is a little thicker thread as compared to this other thinner thread. See if you can see the difference. You can see here, this is thick and this is thinner. So because the holes are bigger here, I have chosen a thicker size thread, because that is what will make your work nice and rigid, and it will be easy to crochet. If you use very thin thread, you are going to it's going to slip, and it's not going to be helpful for you in your learning journey. Okay, so see, this is size 20 cotton, size 40 cotton thread, which will be useful for very thin beads, and this is size 10 cotton thread, which will be useful for size 8. The ones I always use size 8 beads, and that will be useful for that. Or you don't even have to go by numbers, you just have to make sure that the thread is fitting snugly onto the holes of the beads. So that is what is more important, because I know that everywhere everyone does not have access to or branded threads and branded beads, so that is why this suggestion. And most importantly, never use polyester. Okay, so polyester or nylon threads are like this. Okay, so and these are very slippery. So though the size may fit your beads, but these are very slippery and it's not at all suitable for bead crochet, so never use them. Now, tip number 4. Okay, when you are learning, I would always recommend that you use a contrasting color thread. So this is actually see here in this excuse me, so in this example, you see I am using a totally contrasting color of thread for this beads, because I want it to be visible for me when I am learning. I should know where my thread is, where I have to work, and all that details is useful only when you have some thread which is light in color and which preferably is in a contrasting color. See, even for this example, I was using a purple color, which is not exactly the color that is on the beads. So contrasting color will always help. Let me show what happens if you use a very dark color or a very neutral color. See, for this design, actually black suits very well, right? So you cannot see the thread outside at all, and black suits very well. But I tell you, it is very difficult. First of all, the thread is very thin, and also for it's not visibly very clear, and especially if for people like me who are wearing spectacles and whose eyesight is not so good anymore, so it is very difficult for me unless I'm using some special glasses to enhance the size and like that. So for a beginner, never use dark color thread, and never use and don't use nylon thread also. Okay, so use a contrasting thread when you are beginning to learn. Sometimes that itself will become a design element also. See, so for instance, in this one, this is a blue color bead, but I'm using a green color thread on this. And you see, it's not hard, it's even hardly visible anywhere. Okay, so you cannot even see it. But even if you see it, it will give a like good contrast color effect also will be there. So that is according to the design choices. Later, when you learn better, you can explore those possibilities. Tip number 5 will be about choosing the kind of designs, what kind of designs should you choose when you begin to work with. Okay, when you begin to work with, always choose spiral designs. See, spirals like this. When I say spiral, this is what I mean when I say spiral, or like this, because in a spiral design the placement of the beads are in what you call in an is regular, you right, so there will be six beads of different color, and again another six beads. Sorry if I'm not explaining that correctly. Okay, look here. See, in a spiral design, see, this is how you'll see the first six beads will be added like this, and again the next six beads will be I think I'm missing a bead here. Okay, so we'll be adding beads in order like this, and it will be easy for us to add the beads onto the thread. Plus, when you are making your design also, it's going to be useful. Okay, so but at the same time, if you are going to be using a single color, like I told you, so if your pattern has a single color, or if it has very complicated designs, it's not helpful for a beginner at all. So always choose spirals. So this is also a spiral. See, in this practice piece, I first started with using very big beads, and then I have threaded on a single color bead. Then here I have threaded on a spiral pattern. A spiral, it is two gold, two green, and two maroons. So it's in that order. So it is a 6 bead rope. So for as a practice piece, preferably this should have been here and this green should have gone up, but this is what it is. So how I made this was, I strung on all the beads, bigger beads first, and then I did the single color bead, and then I did the spiral. So that is why this is a practice piece which will help you to graduate from bigger to smaller beads and so on, like that. And if you're going to be practicing only single color bead also, first make your practice piece in bigger beads, and then also after those beads in the same thread you will be adding single color bead, and then you can practice like this. Tip number 6 is about the use of a starter rope. So see, I have sample here. Wait, I cannot find that sample now. It's here. Okay, so you see, this is a spiral pattern that I liked so much, and I started making it. And when I started my crochet rope, see, this was how the beginning was. Okay, though I've been bead crocheting for a long time, when I start this, it's really very clumsy with the small beads and the thread. It's clumsy, and I was not able to get it correct at all, but so I just avoided that. And as I started crocheting, it became all right. Okay, so since I know a little bit of bead crochet, so I was able to manage and come to this level, and I made a small sample like this. Okay, so this is how the beginning is, but this is ideally not how it should be. So how it should be is, it should be nice and flat like this. Where's my sample piece? Here. See, it should be nice and flat like this. Only then your work will be neat, for two reasons. One is because if you are going to make something, if you're going to make an invisible join, bangle, bracelet, or a necklace, or any piece, if you're going to make an invisible join piece, your beginning has to be made like this. It has to be made nice and neat and proper like this. Only then you can bring in the next piece and join it correctly here. Okay, but if you have something like this, it's not easy for me to join these two pieces together, because you see the beads are not aligned, and it's not easy to join these two together. There is another possibility also, where sometimes bead crochet ropes are started with only a single crochet in spirals. Okay, it is started like this, and then after that, then the bead section comes, and then the bead crochet slip stitch spirals are made. Now this is suitable only for only for projects where you have a bead cap or an end cap to close it. For instance, say in this one. Okay, see here I have a bead cap here which closes any clumsiness that's here. So it's okay even if it is not so neat, and even if it is like this, it's okay. Or even if it has a little bit of thread work going on. See, if this kind of a thread work is going on, I can put a bead cap and hide it. Okay, or even in this case, see in this necklace also, I do not need the end to be neat. The starting or the ending need not be very perfect because I'm going to hide it with some bead caps. Okay, but that is, you can do this starting method, which is a little more easier than starting with only beads and starting with only bead crochet spiral stitches. Okay, if you do this, it's fairly easy. But if you are interested in making invisible join pieces like this, so this is also another invisible join bangle, though I've added some fringes here just for design purposes. Okay, if you are going to be making an invisible join one, you definitely need to have start like this. Now, how to start like this? Okay, even for me, after working for so many years, this is how my start will be. So for that, I have a foolproof method which I call as the starter rope method. Okay, a starter rope method means, see, first I will have a sample rope here. Okay, so supposing this is a 8 bead crochet rope, I have a 8 bead crochet rope, and the new project that I'm going to take is also a 8 bead 8 bead crochet rope project. So I will start making my new work from this here like this. Okay, and then after making a few inches of work, then I will detach it from here. When I detach it and keep away this starting rope, I will end up with a base which is nice and flat like this, and which will be easy for me to do the invisible join. Okay, that is called as a starter rope method. The very clear instructions and tutorial for making a starter rope and for using how to start with the starter rope and how to detach it is there in my playlist. I will link it in the description box, and you can follow that. So among all the tips like I have told you today, the use of the starter rope method is the most valuable tip that you will ever get for learning bead crochet. And this is, I tell you, is a game changer. So it's very frustrating to keep on getting clumsy pieces like this, but with the use of a starter rope you can do anything. See, any rope you can make. Now for instance, say, where is, okay, now this piece also can become a starter rope. So this is a 6 bead crochet rope. So if I have another project with a 6 bead, I can start my work from here. I do not have to bother to start from the beginning all over again. I can start from here very easily. So it will be started like this. Okay, and after a few rows of work, we can detach it and have a very clean piece of crochet that you will need. So please do not forget to look into my starter tube tutorial, which is definitely going to be very useful for you. And before I finish this tips lesson, I also want to tell you that whenever you're choosing a design, like I told you earlier, choose a spiral. Okay, which is the most easiest to do. Also choose the crochet designs which have got less circumference. Say 6 is ideal for a beginner. Do not choose 8 or 9 or 10, or even there's 12 and 15 also sometimes. Okay, so don't choose designs like this because it's not easy. And you see here what happens is, if this is how many, 3 and 4, or this is a 10 bead. Okay, so this is a 10 bead crochet rope, and you can see it is it's not so easy to do, and because it also falls, it doesn't hold its shape like this, it will fall off. See, it won't be nice and firm like how this is. See here, see how this will be nice. And if you have more number of beads in your circumference, this is how it will be. So for a beginner, that's not useful. So that's the other extra bonus tip that I wanted to tell you. So As usual, thank you very much for giving me your time and for being very good followers of my channel. And I love all your questions and I love answering them. And I also learn a lot from them about how my tutorials should be and what I should teach and what I should focus on. So thank you very much for all that. And please keep supporting me. Happy beading. Thank you. Bye.